Alright, so last game I talked about complacency and how it could have maybe been one of the big reasons why we made it such a close game against a team that we beat before. Um, but I mean, this game there was no question about complacency or anything like that. I just think overall it was a conscious lack of effort, energy, execution. I mean, this was a team just just finished playing a competitive game against the best team in the league. So um, although it was an embarrassing loss, part of me is kind of glad this happened, especially after like going, getting back to back wins because it really just shows um, how what can happen if we get too careless. Um, but yeah, I mean for this review, probably only gonna go off the main takeaways that set in the chat. These things and kind of use the film to support it. Um, and before I start, throughout this video, I'm gonna have one question for everyone to answer. I want you guys to text in the group chat your answer. Um, this is an easy way for me to let me know who's actually been watching the videos and who just, you know, been pretending or who's actually, been fully invested. Um, but in terms of the takeaways, bad takeaways. So starting with defense. Got three clips for to the first one, screen communication. Let me just go to the first clip. So here they are preparing to do a pick and roll with the big guy, Zach Sky, and we switch, but on the switch, Steven is still following his original guy, and there we have a situation where we have two guys guarding one of them, and that's an advantage for them, and it ends up being an easy putback for the big guy. Um, so it was initially it was a good switch from Zach, but I'm guessing Zach didn't communicate to Steven to switch, or didn't yell. I don't know if he was trying to hedge or ended up switching instead, but ultimately, this is another example of bad screen communication. Um, Next example is this is something that they did a lot during the game, where they would kind of screen the inbounder, and this was my fault. So guy inbounds the ball and then automatically gets a screen off the big guy. So in here, I didn't even notice that he was getting a screen. I just thought that the big guy was trying to get the ball. So here I should have switched with Zach, or at least let him know a screen's coming. And they end up putting us in the blender, and then the dominoes start falling. They start moving the ball around, and all of this started just from them getting an advantage when um, the ball guy ended up being free in the paint. And again, once two of us are guarding one of them, the dominoes are gonna start falling, and they were able to work the ball around and get a good shot off it. Um, the last example I have of bad screen communication is probably the most annoying example. Um, so I'm gonna just let the clip play over. So here, Josh's guy is bringing up the ball, and then the big guy comes to set a screen. Again, Josh is still where he's at, and now we kind of have Zach stuck between two guys, trying to fight over the screen, trying to tell, guess basically where the ball's gonna end up on. And the big guy ends up getting a screen off the little guy, and again, Josh is feet still planted to his original position. Big guy gets momentum, goes downhill, and scores. So the reason why I say this is probably the worst clip in terms of screen communication is because again, Josh kind of leaves Zach to die out there, and while all this is happening, Zach is fighting over, guarding two people. Josh is still planting there. When this could be, if Josh just comes up a little and kind of helps him out and just relieves some pressure from Zach. Instead, big guy gets an open lane to drive, and by this point he's already going full in, and doesn't see anyone really in the paint. I mean, Steven's there, but at this point he's going full speed, so Steven's not really gonna stop him. Um, it takes at least two people to defend a screen. And I say at least because you can have a situation um, where like the third guy in this situation can help by rotating, and the third guy in this situation being Steven. But nevertheless, it always takes at least two people to defend the screen. Um, Letting one person handle the screen alone, it just unacceptable. I mean, it always ends up with us having to collapse our defense, and if he would have kicked that out, he might have been able to find this guy open for three. But yeah, it's not enough to just say screen right, screen left. You have to tell him what to do because defending screens requires two efforts. One person's efforts alone can't defend a screen. And again, I went over all the different ways of us defending a screen in previous videos. I think where is it? Yeah, man-to-man defense. So again, we have four ways of defending a screen. And all of them over here. So the question I have for Steven and Zach, um, for Steven's question, what are the main four ways of defending ball screens, and then Zach's question is whose responsibility to call out ball screen coverages. Again, I go over all of that in this video, so the answer's there. Um, Next up, I think it's what transition defense. Transition defense. This one, I mean, a lot of it's mostly just relating to effort. So, and effort and paying attention. So let me go on this first clip. So it's a quick inbound. Guys go down the court. Now the problem isn't him being able to, the guy bringing up the ball being able to get in the paint. The main problem is, okay, as soon as we identify who's defending the ball handler, again the first thing on any transition when we're defending any transition is someone gotta stop the ball. And once that person identifies himself, saying I got ball or whatever, all of us have to immediately find the nearest person to defend, or we wall up. And here we have basically four guys on all attention towards the ball handler, and this fat Indian guy is kind of trailing. The most dangerous thing when defending a transition is have more than one person defending the ball. As soon as that point attack defender identifies himself, everybody else should be fighting the nearest man or walling up. Now, Steven reaches in here and gets blown by, but the second chance point from that fat motherfucker, I mean, it's far worse than anything. And the other clip I have of transition defense, I mean, this is self-explanatory. Another quick inbound. At this point, we got Josh walking, Zach walking, cool. Zach's guy is still walking, but Josh identifies his guy too late. Ends up scoring off that. I mean, that's just effort at the end of the day. So there's not really much more to dissect on that part. Second takeaway on defense: ball watching, conceding easy rebounds. I'm just gonna let the two clips play out. So yeah, the guy who gets the board, this guy, initially he's Josh's defender. Josh is defending him. Sorry. At this point, everyone's still looking at the ball. Cool, but when that ball goes up, everyone's still ball watching, and the guy who judge is able to swim past Josh, get the board for a second chance opportunity. And second clip is basically similar. So, although they don't score from here, they were still able to get a putback attempt, um, based on that. So I think it's the what? I think the fat Indian again. Um, yeah. So I mean, on this play, this guy is getting a stagger screen, um, from two of them, but even when he's driving, it's pretty evident that this guy should be defended by Eric. Ball goes up, ball watching, ball watching, ball watching, ball watching, ball watching. Now none of them man get the board, but coincidentally, Eric's guy is able to get that put back. And I mean they're about the same height. So again, it's not us getting out rebounded by some tall ass motherfuckers. No, this is just effort. When that shot goes up, we need to get in the habit of first identifying someone to box out. The previous two games, we got better at that, but for this game, for some reason I don't know if it was we were down a lot. All these little stuff just starts accumulating, and we end up a 10 point deficit becomes a 15 point deficit, and then a 20 point deficit, and it just keeps on accumulating. Next, lack of ball pressure. For this one, I think it's better to highlight the moments where we did have good ball pressure and up to intensity. I think on this first clip, it's a steal from Josh, and it's kind of crazy how on this clip, Josh does basically what I want him to do on defending ball screens. Instead of letting Steven die, he comes up on the switch, aggressive, steal. I don't know if he made this or not because the camera can't show, but yeah. And then this last clip I have, it kind of just shows the difference in what just upping our intensity can do. So I'm just let it play out. I try and break down Eric. Eric active hands, steal, easy lay. Again, Josh anticipation, good steal, easy lay. Now this team, none of them wanted to run. All of them were old as shit. They wanted to play their tempo and slow down the game. It's just crazy how for most of the game we look like the tired team. But yeah. Before I move on to offense, yeah. Before I move on to offense, I want to quickly go over the 1-3-1 formation that we started off with. So just a quick recap. For 1-3-1, right? The main goal is for us to get the ball in one of these corners. And how we get the ball to that corner is usually teams, when they bring up the ball, they usually start in the top. So this is where this top guy, every other defender. So okay, starting with the top guy. So in here it would have been, I think would have been Kevin, right? So this top guy's job is to pick a side where you want us to focus on. So you don't want to come at him too straight. You kind of want to pick a side for because based on what he does, based on what this top guy does, this guy here kind of angles his way to which corner. So let's say the top guy wants, is aiming for the ball to go towards this corner. So he's shading him over here, and I'm getting ready because as soon as that ball goes to the corner, this is when we start trapping. This is when I come out and we start trapping and force them to make these risky passes over the top. This center right here, I think it was Arun from when we started. This center has probably the easiest job. It's just stay in the paint, deny any post entries, deny any drives in the middle, stay in the paint. And anybody else, if that ball ends up in a wing, this guy's job is to force it even more to the wing. So everybody, the wing defender's job is to force it even more to the corner. So if the ball is in the right corner, whoever's over here, job is to force it more towards that baseline. The only person that has a choice in deciding which direction we go is the top guy. And again, these videos 1-3-1, and the defense video goes over this in more detail. But going back to the clip. So in here, they actually bring up the ball and they willingly pass it to corner. And this is, as you see, this is when I come in for the double team. Now this double team is kind of weak, but it's very important that Kevin stays in an angle to where the ball stays on that side. And here, Kevin's when he's closing out, he's still giving him that freedom to go over here. We don't want them to be able to um, drive to the other side of the court. So here we're still good. Ball's in the corner. Again, so this was Sonny's in good position. But Brian, who was originally the wing defender here, ends up going to the paint. Now Arun's confused onto where he should be. Arun should be around here, top-ish in the paint. Brian should be back over here. But now that Brian's in here and now Arun's feeling is confused, and he's like, okay, maybe I should be the one that's defending him, even though it should be Brian. So now we have a situation where we have three guys in the paint, but no one's really guarding the paint, if that makes sense, because they end up going in and getting a layup. Now, if Arun was there, that would have never happened. But all this stemmed from Brian leaving his position and going in here, and Arun accommodating for Brian. So Brian should have stayed in his spot, or even if he wants to come up a little bit, but the paint should only be the center and whoever is responsible for going corner to corner. In this case, it was me. So yeah, that's it regarding the 1-3-1 defense. And this next question is for Brian. I kind of just basically went over it. What is the main goal of 1-3-1 defense, and where do you want the ball to end up? All right, so that's it for defense. Next up, offense clips. All right, moving on to offense. This one is the most annoying to me. I mean, defense mostly is energy, communication, effort, all that stuff. Defense for the most part is reactive, inherently reactive, since we don't have the ball. We want to be proactive as much as possible, obviously, on defense, but ultimately, great offense beats great defense, so we're always at the mercy of that rule. However, this means that on offense, we have to do the most when it comes to looking for easy shots and looking for good shots. And that transitions to the first point in takeaway: lazy ISO possessions and settling for tough shots. So what I mean by ISO is, actually let me play a clipboard where we're not doing ISO. So when I'm talking about ISO, I'm not talking about clips where we have an obvious advantage. So here, this guy, he's slower than Kevin. He's not as fast as Kevin, and he basically is a clear disadvantage of Kevin on this guy. So when we have clear advantages on offense, then we have to use it. And Kevin was smart enough to just, no funny business, just take him to a paint. Don't know if he made it or not, but that's good offense in my book. Now, what I mean by ISO are these two positions right here, and these are looking kind of back to back. So Eric bring up the ball, dribble, step back, clank. Next clip. Josh gets the ball, dribble, step back, clank. Now again, this guy right here should be the same amount of this guy should be just as a mismatch as the other guy was with Kevin. So right here, Josh got the ball and immediately starts getting into his bag, all this extra stuff. I mean, the big guy was moving, so there was really no point to do all that extra stuff. And in this league, ISO ball is fool's gold, and mostly for two main reasons. Why? Because it's inconsistent way of scoring, and two, it gives for the defenders a break on defense. Now again, I'm not saying not be aggressive, but I'm just saying be more decisive on when you're deciding to score. Now regarding the first reason why ISO ball is fool's gold, and why is inconsistent way of scoring. I mean, if you look at this clip again, as soon as Josh gets that ball, he low-key, and Josh is good enough to do this. He could have just went in the paint and took his guy in the paint, attacked his top foot, went to the paint. Now I don't know if there's any help over there, but the best time to drive or shoot is always the first second you catch the ball, or the first point 0.5 seconds you catch the ball, whatever. As basically as the best time for you to score is when you catch the ball, because this is when you're least contested. This is when the defense is still adjusting to the ball coming to you. This is when the defender is the most vulnerable, as you see right here. This is basically the principle behind 0 second decision making, and there's a video on that. These two videos go over that concept. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but these two videos do a way better job of explaining it than me. Um, you basically the whole idea is that you're much more dangerous when you catch the ball and you're immediately driving, or immediately shooting if you're open, or immediately passing, because it keeps at least one person on their defense have to react and move. And the better player you are, the more options you have. In my case, I know I'm not the strongest driver, but I can shoot. So if I sense my defender is sagging off as soon as I'm catching that ball, I'm already setting my feet and preparing to shoot. And now I'm playing off that. If the defender keeps sagging, I'm going to continue to shoot. I might do a pump or jab, just getting more unsettled. But if my shot's not going in, then immediately I'm catching and passing. Or catching or getting to a dribble handoff. This is also why I say to think more off the ball. So think before you catch the ball, or after you let the ball go. Because you want, as soon as you catch the ball, you want to play more reactive, and you surely have it, and you surely know and have an idea what you want to do when you get the ball, and you kind of play off your counters. You don't want to think too much when you have the ball. Players like Brian, Kevin, Eric, Josh, you guys will be catching and driving way more than players like me, Arun, or Zach. But the important thing is that we're not catching and holding, or catching and thinking, or catching and dribbling and figuring out what you want to do. The more you linger with the ball, the easier you are to defend. And so it's always important, and so it's even more important to know when to get off the ball. As soon as the opportunity for an open shot or the opportunity to get in the paint for a layup is gone, the smart decision is always to get off the ball. Even more so when you attract help defense. So on this clip right here, I think it's in this clip right here. Eric calls for a screen. Cool. I give him one. And now he has two guys attracted to him. Now the smart thing would have been to realize, okay, I'm attracting help defense off a screen, so I could just pass out to either who was popping, or Zach over there. But we have to be able to identify when we're tracking help, when we're getting two people on the ball, and when is the time to get off the ball. The other way to get off the ball is a dribble handoff. If your defender's playing good defense, if he's bumping you, if he's not falling for any of your counters, then you can get off the ball by not just passing, by giving a dribble handoff. A dribble handoffs are the only time we should be dribbling. Ideally, the only times that you're dribbling is when you are either attacking the paint or giving the dribble handoff. Anything else, like in these two clips, it's just a waste of energy, in my opinion. But yeah, in general, any good offensive team usually has all their players playing out of 0 second decision making, and that foundation. Again, I recommend all of our best scorers to watch these two videos when it comes to learning about 0 second decision making. I'm not going to go too into it, but I just want to highlight these possessions. The longest the ball should be sticking to one person should really be the guy who's bringing up the ball, and from there, or the person inbounding. And from there, again, the first, I'm not saying don't be aggressive, so I'm not telling Eric not to be aggressive here, but I'm just saying if the opportunity to attack the paint or shoot the open shot is gone, you have to do a better job of getting off the ball. Now obviously you're not always going to be able to decide what you're doing that fast every single time in terms of 0 second decision making, so it's important to stay in triple threat and not dribble in those moments. So in this moment right here, in this clip, things are inbound. Again, the person that should be holding the ball longest is usually the person that's bringing up the ball or off inbound, or if we're attacking a mismatch. But in here, our spacing is all fucked up, cool, but like Eric keeps his stays in triple threat, waits till everyone's kind of spaced out. Then he attacks this guy and takes a layup. Now my other point for why settling for ISO buckets is fool's gold is because it gives forward the defenders basically a rest on defense. Now, offense should only really be about creating advantages, and the main four ways of creating advantages is from these three principles: making two people guard one or one person guard zero, winning closeouts, or creating mismatches. And the engine behind all this is great spacing. Good shots always come from a result of these three happening. So when we result to ISO and we're doing only dribble, all this stuff, one-on-one, we're disregarding all that and settling for tough shots. In the shot clock league, ISO possessions are a little bit more understandable because you have like a finite amount of time to score. But in the no shot clock league, these type of possessions become even more stupid because we're turning the game into one-on-one, and everybody else, specifically their defense, is able to rest. Now again, I want to reiterate, there's no problem of it being a 1v1 if we get a mismatch. Like a permanent mismatch or a post mismatch, whatever. If it's a mismatch, then there's no problem of it being 1v1 because we create the advantage. And one last thing regarding ISO possessions. So, let me roll the clip. So here, Josh is bringing up the ball. Cool. Dribble, step back. Again, one look up. You see all the space we have in the perimeter to pass out. But he chooses to take a midi. Alright, cool. Now on defense. Non-contested three. So if you really get that ISO itch, if them demons are really calling your name, the bare minimum you have to do is at least earn it back on defense. At least. Alright, so next two questions are for Eric and Josh. Eric and Josh. For Eric, what is 0-second decision making? Again, you can find the answer in this video. And for Josh, what three principles always lead to good offense? I believe the term is like called the gap theory, where you go over those three principles, and these two videos go over that. So the answer is in these two videos. I talked about it also earlier, but you learn more from watching these guys talk than me. Alright. Next we have poor spacing, triggering the floor. Remember, I always say, remember what I said, great spacing is kind of the engine that keeps all this together. So let me just go over the first clip. So here Eric has the ball. Kevin starts from over here, but he walks his ass up to give Eric a screen. Eric uses the screen. And Kevin still stays to where he's at. Now I already talked about last video why I don't like random ball screens. But the worst thing you can do after a screen is to stay where you are. So if you're going to screen, the bare minimum, rule of opposites. So if you screen and the person you're screening for pulls up, then you roll. If you screen the person you're screening for drives, then you pop. And here Eric pulls up, so Kevin should have rolled to at least attract one more defender, one of these two defenders. Because right now you have two guys defending one of us, and which is good. But if Kevin is here, then it doesn't really generate that advantage that we want. So again, we were able to get two guys defend us using a screen, but all that gets neglected because Kevin is still there. Um, and I think the same thing happens in this clip. I think Josh does it this time. Oh no, wrong clip. Sorry, that's it right here. Dribbling, try to break down this guy. Josh gives a screen. Oh, sorry, going again. Dribbling. That's a screen, and it stays there. Same outcome, to be honest. Um, yeah. So just remember the rule opposites when it comes to screening. If you're gonna screen again, I don't. In our system, there's really only two instances of us setting a screen, and um that's set play one, and if the ball handler calls for it, and in both of these moments, none of the person who had the ball did not call for a screen. Um, and the last clip I have for poor spacing. So Kevin's dreaming with the ball, and then Eric basically goes to Kevin to get the ball. Gets turnover, and now on defense. So we play 5 out. So whoever's inbounding the ball, all of us should get to our spots immediately. One look up from here, you see Josh sending me a nice off-ball screen. We have probably someone open over here. Again, they were sagging the whole game, so there was no reason for us to come get the ball and come be congested and fuck up our space and shrink the floor. They were sagging the whole time. None of us were really playing that tight defense on us, so there was no reason for us to play even tighter defense on ourselves. So yeah, trust your teammates and trust the system. To be honest, like there's no point of us making offense be harder than it has to be. And so the next two questions are for Alexis and Arun. For Arun, since you're a big guy, you're gonna be screening a lot of time. What is the rule opposites when it comes to screening? And for Alexis, what are the only two instances that we allow a ball screen on offense? So those are those two questions right here. And I think last section, because I'm not gonna go over turnovers. Last section, poor off-ball movement, passing and standing still, or setting unnecessary ball screens. Kind of transitions to the thing we're just on. So for poor off-ball movement, I got two early clips right here. I'll play this one out. Actually, I played them both out without saying anything. That's the first clip. Again, both clips. So in this first one, Arun passes it, and he proceeds to do what I think he's trying to do is circle motion, but then he's still ball watching, fixated on the ball, and then stops moving. And then when he sees that I'm moving, he's like, oh shit, I should be somewhere else. So we have to get in the habit of not turning our brain off when we don't have the ball, and still just kind of ball watching. I mean, we ball watch on defense, but we also ball watch a lot on offense as well. Both clips, after their pass, their eye is still fixated on the ball. There's no need to keep staring at the ball after you pass. Just prioritize finish your action. So in here, Arun was at the top and he was passing it to the opposite wing. So what does that trigger? That should trigger circle motion. So let's say this is Arun. He passes to this guy, and what he should have done is go over here, I cut, and then whoever was over here pops up. So basically end up like this basically. And this is circle motion, which I go over I went over it multiple times in previous videos. And these videos, I think this one goes over it, and obviously the offense video I made goes over it. And obviously the slides as well, but reading can be more harder than to watching videos. But yeah, in our system, any perimeter pass you make, the specific actions you have to do, and all these actions are always away from the ball. So in here, Arun, starts to do it, and then kind of half-asses it. And in here, Kevin doesn't do anything at all. If in 5 out, if after every perimeter pass we do, everyone just stands still. Then it's gonna get real stagnant. Um, all these actions that you have after you pass in the perimeter always result in you going away from your pass. Um, if there's one person in the opposite direction of your pass, so um, let's say let me go back. Let me reduce this again. So let's say the ball is here, and 2 passes to 1. If there's one person opposite side of your pass, then you set a screen, and we work off that. And again, rule opposites. If you're screening, and I'm curling, 2 should be popping. If 2 screening, and I'm popping, 2 should be rolling. Rule opposites. Again, and in this case, Arun passes to the wing, so top to wing pass. There's 2 people opposite side. Then we do circle motion. Circle motion always ends up with 1 jammer, usually the passer, so Arun will be the jammer. He jams my guy here. I'll be cutting, and Kevin will be popping. So yeah, every perimeter pass we make, there has to be one of these 2 actions that happen, and whatever action happens is based on how many people on the opposite side of your pass. Only time that you should be passing and standing still is if you pass it in the paint, because at that point you want to space the floor and make it harder for them to rotate and help. Again, the videos on that is all on these. The video on that is in this playlist. The offense video, the circle motion video, and this video as well. Kind of good on setting away screens. And all of this is based on whatever we do, whether it be screen and pop, screen and roll, whatever, is based on what the opponent does. And if the opponent starts to overplay the screen, so this instance right here, so this would be kind of similar to what was showed in the clips. So a pass to the top, away screen. Now if we see the opponent starts to overplay that screen, then it's up to whoever's over here getting that screen to backdoor cut. But yeah, generally the reads you do based on the screens are either pop or curl, and for the screener either roll or pop, or slip if the switching. But yeah, the mindset should always be when you get off the ball is you instantly become a tool for your teammates that don't have the ball. Your job is to get other people open as soon as you pass the ball. So having that selflessness, but also awareness, is only going to improve our offense, and obviously only going to improve our off ball. And all these off ball actions require collaboration with 2 people. And circle motion requires 3 people, jammer, cutter, and popper. If one of us starts half-assing it, like Arun's doing here, then it's just going to make us look like a joke. And so, my next question is for Kevin, sorry. In our 5-out system, after you make a pass in the perimeter, what should you do? So that's Kevin's question there. Again, I'm gonna skip turnovers because at this point it's being a dead horse. Plus turnovers are part of the game, and as the deficit grew, it's normal for us to get more careless. Speaking about turnovers, the only person I don't have a question for is Sonny, right? All right. So Sonny, for you, what are our transition defense principles, and what comes first when it comes to transition defense? And the answer is in these slides, or you can just watch the defense video I made a month ago. But yeah, overall, I don't really care, like, if we miss open shots or if the opponent is making tough shots on us, as long as the process for us getting those open shots and the effort we show on defense is consistent. To be blunt, not one person in this team can carry us to a win. Not 2 people, not 3, not 4, not 5. Like, we're not paying $170 to, come fucking play pickup. Like, we're a basketball team. We're not a group of hoopers. Anyone can get a lucky win, hit a random shot or whatever. But if we have a process of consistently looking for and getting good shots, which is what these slides are, the system is basically made for, then that's our ticket to success. And on defense, energy and teamwork should be even more intense on offense. Offense should be us looking for the most simplest, easiest shots. And defense should be mostly about energy, teamwork, communication. Anyways, I rambled on enough for now. don't forget the answers to the questions. Those who've been watching videos, I appreciate the effort. And those who haven't, I mean, you're just contributing to these type of losses. But yeah, only way we have to win this shit is as a team. So let's make sure next time we face these guys, we realize that. But yes, I highly suggest you guys watch not only this breakdown, but all the videos I have in this playlist that weren't made by me. But yeah, aside from that, hopefully we get revenge in the next game.